Hello and welcome to World Today. Now, US President Donald Trump will mark 100 days of his second tenure on the 29th of April. He will be officially celebrating this feat in Michigan with a rally. It has been a roller coaster first 100 days, which entailed a series of executive orders and policy decisions that have left people and economies spinning. We'll discuss that and more, but let us begin with President Trump's take on the Pahalgam terror attack. The US president, right after the terror strike on the 22nd of April, first texted his condemnation of the terror strike, and then he dialed Prime Minister Modi. Calling the attack deeply disturbing, he expressed his solidarity with India in the fight against terrorists. Then, in a media briefing, the US president condemned the attack and called it a bad one, although he also expressed confidence that both countries will eventually work out their differences.
Very close to India and I'm very close to Pakistan, as you know, and they've had that fight for 1,000 years in Kashmir. Kashmir's been going on for 1,000 years, probably longer than that. And it was a bad one yesterday, though. That was a bad one. Over 30 people.
Are you concerned that there's now tensions on the border between them? Are you concerned about, how are you concerned are you about that?
Well, there have been tensions on that border for 1,500 years. So, you know, the same as it's been, but they'll get it figured out one way or the other. I'm sure that it's, I know both leaders. There's great tension between Pakistan and India, but there always has been.
Not only did President Trump, members of his cabinet too came out in support of India in the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack on the 22nd of April. Now, FBI Director Kash Patel condemned the terror attack and assured India of continued US support. This comes after Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, said that US stands in solidarity with India. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio also expressed support for India. In a post on X, Rubio wrote, "The United States stands with India." US Vice President J.D. Vance was indeed in India in Jaipur at the time of the attack in Pahalgam. Despite the terror strike, he and his family continued with their tour itinerary as scheduled, visiting the Taj, then going back to Jaipur and then returning home. He was the first from Trump administration to speak to media expressing his support for India. Not only the US, other global leaders are pledging their support to India in its fight against terrorism.
I want to just, of course, issue our condolences to the people of Kashmir who were affected by this terrible terrorist attack. The president's already spoken with Prime Minister Modi. I believe I'll be speaking with him later this afternoon. And obviously, we're providing whatever assistance and help we can provide to the government, to the people of India.
Now, India's oldest friend, Russia, sent a condolence letter to the President and Prime Minister, strongly condemning the terror attack in Pahalgam. The Russian President, Vladimir Putin, called it an act of brutal crime. EU President Ursula von der Leyen called the Pahalgam incident a vile terror attack, while Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni expressed her condolences, saying she was deeply saddened by the terrorist attack in Kashmir. Israel conveyed their support in India's fight against terror as well. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian expressed deep sorrow over the attack and emphasized Iran's solidarity with India, as also suggested mediation between India and Pakistan. Those are reactions that have come from across the world, from Iran to various other countries that have showed solidarity and support for India. But it was Iran that has also offered its good offices to mediate between India and Pakistan. Now, the battleground is set, turning fissures into fault lines. While India continues to mourn the loss of the innocent lives in Pahalgam terror attack and prepares with just and tough measures, Pakistan's old friends are siding with Rawalpindi. Here is a report.
Amid growing tensions after the deadly Pahalgam terror attack, India faces a new challenge. Not just from Pakistan, but from its backers, Turkey and China. As the world calls for restraint, Pakistan's allies are swiftly stepping in with weapons, not peace. Just days after the terror strike in Pahalgam, which killed 26 tourists, Turkey has reportedly dispatched military cargo to Pakistan. A Turkish Air Force C-130 Hercules landed in Karachi, reportedly loaded with combat equipment. Turkey later clarified that only a single transport aircraft departed from Turkey and landed in Pakistan for refueling purposes, after which it continued along its designated route. Even then, it has fueled India's anger as it is being considered as Turkey's betrayal. In 2023, when Turkey was devastated by one of the deadliest earthquakes, it was India that rushed in first. Under Operation Dost, Indian teams flew into Turkey within hours, pulling survivors from rubble, setting up hospitals and delivering aid. Meanwhile, Pakistan's all-weather ally, China, has urged both nations to show restraint.
China welcomes all measures conducive to cooling down the current situation and supports an impartial investigation as soon as possible. As a common neighbor of both India and Pakistan, China hopes that India and Pakistan will exercise restraint and meet each other halfway. We should properly handle relevant differences through dialogue and consultation and jointly safeguard regional peace and stability.
But on other hands, Beijing has reportedly fast-tracked the delivery of deadly PL-15 air-to-air missiles in a modern long-range system that could change air combat equations in the region. This growing Turkey-Pakistan-China triangle spells a new headache for India's security planners. Turkey's drones and combat tech, China's missiles, Pakistan's terror proxies. It is a dangerous cocktail aimed at unsettling the region. With Rudra Ashish Kanjilal, Bureau Report, India Today.
As the world unites in solidarity with India, protests are erupting globally, condemning Pakistan-based terrorism and honoring the 26 lives lost in the Pahalgam terror attack on the 22nd of April. From Finland to London, people are out demanding justice and a strong fight against terrorism.
थोड़ा बताइए हुआ पति को मार दिया पाकिस्तान मुर्दाबाद मुर्दाबाद
The world is standing with India in this fight against terrorism. In response to the terror carnage in Kashmir rallies Pahalgam, global communities led by the Indian diaspora are hosting candlelight vigils and protests to pay tribute to the victims. The Indian diaspora gathered outside the Indian High Commission in London, holding a vigil to remember the Pahalgam attack victims. Pakistanis also turned up outside the Indian High Commission in a counter-protest, claiming that Pakistan had no role in Pahalgam attack despite glaring evidence.
That is the support shown by vehicles that are passing by, and these are on the other side, and it seems that the distance is quite a bit, so there won't be hopefully any confrontation or escalation, and they would be kept separate from each other. The Pakistani origin people who have turned up outside the Indian High Commission saying that they shouldn't be blamed for the Pahalgam attack.
We want to send a message that we are here for peace. We are against terrorism, and we are against the continuous terrorist attacks on innocent people.
भारत माता की जय! भारत माता की जय!
Meanwhile, in Toronto, Canada, a protest was held by the Indo-Canadian community and joined by multi-ethnicities and nationalities against Pakistan-sponsored terror carnage.
People from the Baloch community, all different communities coming together to say, you know, we stand with the victims of the terrorist attack, not the perpetrator, because Kashmiri Hindus have faced, 7 genocides in their history, going as most recently as 1990, and if we don't stand up and if the world doesn't take a strong position, they could face an 8th.
With Lavina Tandon from London, Bureau Report, India Today.
Indian government is fighting misinformation on multiple fronts. After the Pahalgam terror attack, Pakistan-based YouTube channels have been banned for disseminating provocative and communally sensitive content, false and misleading narratives, and misinformation. Pakistani cricketer Shoaib Akhtar's YouTube channel is banned. Pakistani channels, including those belonging to Arzu Kazmi and Syed Muzammil Shah, have been restricted for Indian YouTube users. Apart from YouTubers, popular Pakistani channels like ARY News, Dawn News, Sama TV and Geo News are also banned in India now. On the other hand, international media is not reporting the facts in their true spirit and the way they would other such terror attacks. My colleague Pooja Shali explains Western media's biased coverage of the Pahalgam terror attack. Watch.
Shock and anger after 20 tourists killed by gunmen. Who is shocked? Who is in anger? What kind of tourists? And gunmen asked what? They asked for Islamic verses to be recited. And when the victims could not, obviously, then they were shot on the head. That is the fact. Even if you ignore the headline, because there could be a style sheet norm or a space crunch and blah blah, come to the details. 24 people. Why could even an elaborate caption with enough space to write not mention that these 24 people were 23 Hindus, 2 Christians, killed at ease, identified and hit at point-blank range in a jihadist attack? NYT adds that it is a terror attack, but only in quotes. Because, well, the Indian Prime Minister said so. Otherwise, not so much, we are not very sure. At least 24 tourists gunned down by militants in Kashmir. Every word here is so problematic. Not simply 24 tourists randomly shot 24 Indians in their own country, checked and confirmed as non-Muslims, targeted on religion basis by radical jihadists, massacred. Sent from Pakistan to identify and target them. Were lined up, sidelined, asked to kneel, trousers pulled down for some of them, targeted on identity basis, leaving their women, mocking the families. Does any of this sense come from the headline that you just read here? The world is taking note. The world leaders are speaking and acknowledging. Why are then some in international media either soft peddling and honestly not even reporting at a mass level as this should have been? The Associated Press and other foreign agencies are more interested to use safe words. But their focus still is to ensure writing rather India administered, India controlled, rather than detail what unfolded in Pahalgam. First of all, let me break some misconception for you once and hopefully for all. There is no Indian occupied Kashmir. That's ignorance. Kashmir is the land of Shaivism, Lord Shiva and Ma Parvati, even before Islam was born. Maybe the international media does not care about Indians or Hindus, the brown people, But I'm sure they care about the Israel-Palestine conflict. They've reported on it extensively. Did you not see similarities in the 7/11 massacre and 22/04 for India? Not a coincidence. Hamas extremists were seen in Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir in February. Look at these images. Similar strategy then was used on how Hamas had carried out the massacre on 7/11 was carried out in Pahalgam. The same high-tech equipment, body cam footage, helmets, targeted, identified attacks. International media cannot see what the world observers clearly can. The international media reported extensively on ISI-style executions, and today you intend to soft pedal because Indians and Hindus are the victims.
US President Donald Trump completes his first 100 days in office in his second tenure. Americans, including some Republicans, are losing faith across multiple issues, and many Americans do not agree with President Trump's aggressive efforts to quickly enact his agenda. Different polls show his approval ratings dropping, but none of it has been able to dent his or his administration's confidence levels.
The Honorable Donald John Trump.
It has been a bold and aggressive Donald Trump in Oval Office for 100 days since January 20th inauguration.
United States, the office of President of the United States.
Cutting back on government agencies, initiating trade conflicts with allies and adversaries, and challenging the judiciary over his tough stance on immigration.
What do we want? Due process.
He has certainly set a benchmark for what his priorities are for the next 4 years. But all these moves have shaken up his ratings.
That's tariffs.
The latest Pew Research Center survey shows only 40% of Americans approve of the performance of Trump 2.0, marking a 7 percentage point decline since February this year. Before Donald Trump, only Bill Clinton had a comparable low approval rating of 49% at the 100-day mark among modern US presidents. By contrast, Joe Biden enjoyed a 59% approval rating in April 2021, but that fell sharply soon after. Another survey carried out by the AP-NORC revealed about 4 in 10 Americans say that Trump has been a terrible president in his second term, and about 1 in 10 say he has been poor. In contrast, about 3 in 10 say he has been great or good, while 16% say he has been average.
Overall, though, Trump is not getting high marks from the public as a whole. Americans are nearly twice as likely to say he's focusing on the wrong priorities as to say he's focusing on the right priorities, although a significant share say it's been about an even mix. And opinions of him so far are more negative than positive.
From day one, Trump issued a series of executive orders when he returned to the White House. He ensured the name change of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, announced his ambition to include Greenland into America, build a Riviera in Gaza to bring about an end to Israel-Palestine conflict. His efforts to end Ukraine war is yet to work out, but his motto of Make America Great Again still goes on in high pitch.
The first 100 days have been massively disruptive, right? There's been this has been a period of kind of more breaking than fixing. I think we will remember this period for really kind of probably the most massive pivot that we've seen in the United States in terms of both the government and our position more globally.
There are protests going on across America against Donald Trump for his job cuts and budget-cutting measures, and then there's the weekend hands-off protests. Beginning with Columbia University, the Trump administration has rebuked universities across the country over their handling of the pro-Palestinian student protest movement that roiled campuses last year. Harvard University refused to buckle down.
Project 2025, I think, has proved to be fairly influential as a blueprint. And I think we're seeing it now play out in the administration. In particular, the idea of targeting the federal bureaucracy, dismantling the federal bureaucracy, and not just the bureaucracy writ large, but particular institutions, USAID, so they're going after foreign aid, Department of Education, areas of the government that Trump and his supporters view as hostile to him, hostile to the movement. I think that they're more emboldened, more extreme, more determined to enact the agenda that they had long wanted to enact.
Now, these lawsuits are backed by far-right
Despite the Signalgate scandal, despite the criticism and protests, and despite the drop in ratings, the Trump administration stands strong and bold in the Oval Office on its 100th day. Bureau Report, India Today.
President Donald Trump is undoubtedly the darling of social media. He talks or moves, and with that, he inspires endless memes. Here are a few most popular ones doing the rounds in this viral POTUS section.
Arguably, the most viral moment from the Pope Francis burial event was Trump and Zelensky meet. But the whole internet is going crazy over the drama that was seen between Trump, Macron and Zelensky. While some trolled Trump, many also trolled French President Emmanuel Macron for getting snubbed by Trump. At the Vatican somber event of Pope's burial, presidents of US and France were having an awkward handshake, which has gone viral for all the wrong reasons. US President Donald Trump is being heavily trolled on social media for wearing blue color suit for the funeral event. At the same time, he also supported Trump and pointed out several other leaders who appeared in different shades of suit and not black alone. Donald Trump's sleeping photo is going viral like a fire. In this picture, we can see Trump sleeping beside his wife, US First Lady Melania Trump. The photo is viral on social media, drawing criticism from netizens.
Who's that picture on there?
That is Joe Biden, and it says, "Let's go, Brandon."
Roasting his predecessor in the Oval Office is nothing new. And each time Donald Trump does it, netizens make it viral.
Who's that picture on there?
That is Joe Biden, and it says, "Let's go, Brandon."
Another such Trump roasting Biden moment was when he attacked Joe Biden hilariously in front of veterans.
I told him he wasn't allowed to ask you to sign it.
That's a wrap on this edition of World Today. Thank you for watching. But before I go, we leave you with these images of Ivanka Trump holidaying in Costa Rica during the Easter weekend with her family and has been photographed doing something that she loves, surfing. Goodbye and take care.